Serious Sam 2 is the black sheep of the Serious Sam series, and sometimes treated like the illegitimate child that dared stray too far from the style and formula that made the game successful in the first place, instead boasting a rich and vibrant colour palette in comparison to the original's very gritty and less vibrant aesthetic, and leading much more into a cartoony vibe. But if I'm being honest, that's why I like it so much. Especially when it takes complete advantage of it in so many ways. For a series called Serious Sam, these games far from take themselves serious at all, really, and that lends to its character a lot. In Serious Sam, unsurprisingly, take on the role of Samuel Herbert Stone. What a silly name.
Oh, shut up!
Sam is the leader of the Earth Defense Force, a global military organization that fought against Mental's army. Mental is Serious Sam's big bad, and to defeat him, you've got to find all 5 pieces of a medallion to weaken him. Each part of the medallion is locked away and guarded by baddies on a different planet, which gives us the excuse and ability to explore so many great and diverse levels. Vibrant medieval fantasy settings? Check. Beautiful Japanese oriental setting? Check. A backyard from an ant's perspective? Check, check. Each map is memorable in its own way and hosts a completely different layout design and collection of enemies. From wide open fields to cramped and narrow space cities, this game's got it all. And each level is typically only 10 to 15 minutes, meaning you'll be bouncing between so many levels and aesthetics, it's hard for the visuals to become boring at any point in the game, which luckily counteracts the sometimes repetitive gameplay of entering an arena and shooting things until everything falls down, only to move forward and do the exact same thing again. That's not to the game's detriment, however, because Serious Sam was always meant to be what it is, a chaotic playground of levels, enemies, and guns, and it excels at just that. And speaking of guns, Serious Sam 2 has an incredible diverse arsenal of weaponry, and they all feel very awesome to shoot and have their own appropriate role within the game. Some guns being more effective against certain enemies, meaning you'll be swapping between many different weapons depending on what the game decides to throw at you. Sticking to one gun too much is impossible, as you're just going to run out of ammo and end up making it harder for yourself in the process. The game obviously has every standard gun that you could think of: laser guns, rocket launchers, shotguns. Of course it does. God damn, you can even throw a bomb-bearing rainbow chicken at the baddies and watch them pop like that submersible that one time.
Down to 4,000 meters repeatedly.
Some guns from the originals don't return in Serious Sam 2, like the Tommy gun for example, instead giving us 2 Uzis which basically fill its role anyway, that being a fully automatic gun that shoots bullets very fast. But in my opinion, if you're giving me the option between 2 Uzis or a Tommy gun will win every single time no matter what. Serious Sam 2 introduces us to 3 new unique weapons, every other weapon having either appeared in previous games or is being very obviously mirrored, like the Uzi and the Tommy gun being a mirror of each other. Number 1 is the Zap gun. I've played a disgusting amount of shooters in my lifetime, and not once have I come across a weapon so fucking useless in a video game. The Zap gun shoots little condensed balls of energies, but it might be more to your advantage waiting for the enemies to catch a cold and die before dying to the damage output of this junk. The second new weapon is the Claudovik, a makeshift weapon created by the natives of Mumdigbo. It's a poor little birdie with a bomb around its neck. Firing this weapon will shoot your newfound friend into his newfound demise, homing in on a target and blowing it up. The new update does allow you to dual wield these bad birds and unleash feathery justice upon anything put in front of you, which I can't lie, it's really awesome. And talking about the new update, to my shock and disbelief, Crow Team, the developers of Serious Sam game series, released an update on Steam, 17 years after the game released. Adding dual wielding to the game allows you to run 2 of your favourite guns or create your own disgusting combinations. Like shooting 2 cannon guns is the definition of disgusting, and in the words of Sam Stone himself, double the gun is
Double the fun.
So if you're an older fan of the series and watching my gameplay thinking how the fuck is this man using 2 weapons, Crow Team is really cool, and that's why. Opting into a new campaign using this dual wield method means the game will throw a shitload of ammo at you to hold down left click and never let go until everything in front of you becomes a mere memory. The update also comes with the ability to multiply your enemy spawn rates all the way up to 10 times. I didn't do that and kept it at a mere double, as I am a big baby and playing this game on the normal difficulty, and because choosing the easier difficulties quite literally mocks you for being such a pussy, and mama didn't raise no pussy, only a rational man. It also adds sprinting, which has never been a thing in the Serious Sam games, but I welcome it. They also added a brand new unique weapon to the game known as the beam gun. This gun is what being a god feels like. The beam gun, as it states, shoots a beam that pierces through enemies and deals very high precise damage to anything you're pointing it at. Dual wielding these bad boys makes short work of anything, and I mean anything, put in front of you. Its downside being that it chews through ammo, but in this new update where ammunition is like oxygen, you won't have that problem a whole lot at all. It's apparently a Ghostbusters reference, but I haven't seen Ghostbusters, so womp womp. But in terms of cool, this and the Serious Sam bomb, which deletes whatever entities happen to unluckily find themselves on your screen in the blink of an eye at that point, are sitting on S tier right now. Or it would be, at least, if I got to use it more than twice in the entire game. Even in the final level, you don't get access to it. I was really close to just spawning it in a few times because I just thought it was so much fun to use. Such a shame, really. Something I did notice about the new dual wield update is that it straight up makes some fights completely unfair. For the bosses, I mean. Just take a look at poor little Klerovsky. Now, if you have no idea what Serious Sam is, I can imagine you're absolutely confused about what's currently on your screen in terms of enemies. I've played all the Serious Sam games, and I still find myself confused about what's on my screen in this game. Serious Sam 2 has a gigantic roster of enemies, too many if I'm being honest, and while I'm being honest, so many of them just feel so Lamau random. Why is this zombie wearing a suit? Oh, it's a stockbroker? Why is it a stockbroker? What does that even mean? Why are these orcs wearing football gear? I just don't get it. A sizable amount of enemies from the originals make it into Serious Sam 2, and some have gone through minor or major differences aesthetic-wise, like werebulls going from scary-looking monstrous bulls to a cute little wind-up mechanical bull, or the Kamikaze Boys just having a goofier and bigger head. Gnars as an enemy aren't in this game anymore, but you can still find their models in certain secret areas, which is a shame because I think everybody can agree that Gnars are really cool, and unlike most Serious Sam enemies, they're not fucking annoying, and I kind of missed seeing them. Hashtag where's my Gnar? Another enemy from the originals that are straight up missing for the first half of the game is the Clear, and thank fuck for that. They're a classic when it comes to Serious Sam enemies, but there is enough piece of shit fucking enemies in this game. I'm looking at you witches and clowns, especially the witches. Whoever's idea it was to put this speedy, annoying bag of skin in the game should be fired. Serious Sam 2's enemies roster is just so batshit, and I don't understand it, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. In fact, I love it. Base enemies aren't the only cuckoo things around here, because honestly, so are the bosses. Serious Sam 2 has 7 bosses all up, all including their own simple, however unique boss fight mechanics alongside them as well. We've got King Kong Boy by the name of Kwongo, a gigantic angry hornet named Zum Zum, a massive fat Asian baby man with a set of teeth that make the critters look friendly,
Ow!
a spooky space magician demon named Klerovsky, and a gay suicidal dragon. Yep, you heard that correctly. It's a gay dragon, with a very stereotypical gay voice. This was 2005 though, and back then you were allowed to have some fun without worrying about hurting everybody's whittle feelings. All of those bosses somehow entrusted with a part of the medallion that was keeping Mental's immortality intact. So Mental really had the audacity to entrust an artifact that holds the secret to his immortality with this guy? This guy looks like he shits his pants for a good time. And after those 5 bosses, we've got Hugo, which is basically Mental's personal bodyguard and last resort robot boy. And then the final one obviously being Mental himself, which is possibly the most boring boss fight in the entire world. But overall, a solid roster of enemies and bosses, I'd say. Good stuff, Crow Team. Alongside the music in this game, the sound design in general is quality. Small examples, the silly sounds that grenades make,
You should use the bridge.
or when werebulls turn, they make a car screeching sound effect. And when the Clear die, it plays the sound of bowling pins. The audio contributes to the goofy and cartoony nature very well, and this is what I mean by them going all the way. They goofified everything. The soundscapes of each area is rich and fitting, and the guns sound beefy and pack a punch, all sounding unique enough as well when putting them alongside their original Serious Sam counterparts, and I appreciate that a lot. Serious Sam 2 introduces a few new systems that weren't a thing in the other Serious Sam games. First off are grenades. Grenades are a new addition to Serious Sam, and the game gives you a metric shit ton of them, especially on the new mode. It's a very nice change of pace and gameplay, as if you're having fun shooting something with your Uzis, but something not very Uzi friendly pops up, just a quick right click will blow them away and you can continue doing what you wanted to do, without having to switch to a separate weapon at all. I really like it, and I think it's a nice addition overall. The new life system is also a neat addition as well. Killing enemies and collecting coins gives you points, and after a certain amount of points you'll get an extra life. And it'll let you know when you've got one.
Has been found.
So dying isn't something that stops you in your tracks and sends you back to the beginning. It just basically pops you right back to where you were and you get back to shooting. Running out of lives obviously restarts your level, but you've got to be pretty dogshit at games to typically run into that issue. Serious Sam 2 also introduces vehicles. There's quite a collection of vehicles in the game, most bearing a small health pool and feature a very basic standard attack of firing laser projectiles. There is a spike ball that crushes everything in its path, but you only get to use it like twice throughout the entire game. There are also turret vehicles which are anchored to a location and typically equipped with some heavy firepower and placed in helpful areas to make those helicopters eat the shit that they deserve. Earlier we brought up the varying themes in the levels of Serious Sam 2, but that just isn't giving them enough credit whatsoever. The levels in this game are absolutely insane. From foreground to backdrop all the way up to skyboxes, the game takes you for a hell of a ride through the story in terms of different levels and themes, from badass to straight up breathtaking. And my favourite level, the garden section, where you play from the perspective of an ant. Being in this sort of environment just leaves so much potential for silly gags and funny Easter eggs, and they take advantage of it very effectively. When I think of Serious Sam 2, I envision this level in my head. As stated previously, the maps and level sections don't last long in Serious Sam 2, but in my opinion that's a very, very good thing. It means any environment you find yourself in isn't going to get stale, and if anything, you're going to progress forward wishing you could have stayed longer, which is a much better effect to have on your player than the latter, getting bored and just wanting to see some new place because the area you're in currently has expelled all its potential, and it's beginning to bore you now. One thing I personally can never get bored of, however, is the secrets. This game and its predecessors have so many secrets. They're absolutely everywhere. In the first 5 minutes of this game, there's 8 findable secrets. Some have ridiculous silly Easter eggs, like 2 natives banging in a bush, teleporting you to a fairground to play some minigames, or others just giving you armor and health, and even sometimes unique vehicles. However, if I'm being honest, 90% of the time that you find a secret in this game, when it's armor or health, the game will just spawn a hitman squad of enemies behind you after you pick up said hidden secret item, typically jump scaring you in the process. Thank you, Crow Team. These games is what introduced me to the fact that if a game points you in the direction left, first, you go right. You might find secret ammo stashes, bonus credits, or anything. Whatever it may be. Is that a waterfall? Surely there's something behind that bad bitch. I didn't play it this time, but the higher difficulties can be abysmal in some areas. Apart from you feeling like you've got the collective health pool of an ant colony, and it genuinely being extremely hard, vehicles are an excellent example of this because it feels like someone forgot to scale up the vehicle health with the difficulties. Because whatever you're riding, from spiky ball to hovercraft, it'll drop like a sack of shit the second you take any damage whatsoever. Another thing I'm very passionate about is how much the last boss fight fucking sucks. The level phase that comes before the actual boss fight itself, where you're just fighting everything that the game can throw at you, just lasts for way too long. It takes 20 minutes of just shooting things while you're basically in very little danger. And then you get up to the last boss fight, which is just a shame compared to the cool mechanics the other bosses had, like having to bounce around with super boots to find super arrows that you can fire from a ballista to take down the dragon boss Cecil, or being able to pilot a helicopter and collecting rockets to fire at Hugo while he chases you down through the sky. You're just shooting at a crystal, and when it closes up you can't attack it anymore, you turn around and deal with absolute cannon fodder aircrafts, only to return to shooting the crystal 5 seconds later. Rinse and repeat 5 times and the final boss is dead. You're also locked to a vehicle for the entire last fight basically, so all that ammunition you saved up doesn't really get to go anywhere. And apart from that, I've got no other quarrels with the game really. It's flawed, but so is every game, and I can appreciate throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. And that's basically Crow Team's method to madness overall, that being very apparent in Serious Sam 3 and 4. There are plenty other Serious Sam games out there that kinda suck, but this isn't one of them. I've heard a few negative opinions actually, and I think that's a shame. Because I believe if you're taking Serious Sam more serious than it's taking itself, you look a bit like an idiot then. Is it as good as the classics? No. But it's not trying to be better, it's trying to be different. They have that golden sticker of being a classic, and it makes them basically unbeatable in that type of way. But regardless, Serious Sam 2 dared to do something different. I think in the grand scheme of things, it really paid off. However, if you're the rare individual that has the ability to articulate why you don't like things, then let me know in the comments why you think Serious Sam 2 is either lackluster or I'm giving it way too much praise. But that's it. Thank you for watching. I love you. And as always, stay beautiful.